I was thinking, people say this all the time, so now what? I've been doing what I've been doing for, decades. It's what I have to do. Now when do I get a chance to do what I want to do?
Well, and that's what we do here at Omega Wealth Private Capital. We help you get from the I have to's to, wow, I get to.
I'm Brad Johansson.
And I'm Joe Wilson, and welcome to another edition of Wise Money.
Welcome to Wise Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital with our special guest, Phil Capriati Sr. on today's show.
It was a pleasure being with you, buddy.
Gentlemen, I'm so excited and so honored to be with both of you on this set. I mean, I get to fill in for Brad while he's out, but two of my greatest friends here of all time. Yay!
Well, this is great because you've been around forever, and it's awesome. And then this guy, I mean, folks, this guy is a legend in our industry. Phil has an amazing practice. Now, here's a combo. You're from Philly. You're in Austin. That's a little different. But Phil and his amazing team have several offices and cities down in South Texas. And you've just built an amazing practice. And I invited him on the show today because, one, he's my friend. We were talking. We were both in town. We had dinner. And we started talking about some things. And I said, Phil, you have to come on the show with me. I want us to talk about this. So that's what we're doing here today. We're having fun. And I've got some cool friends, and we're going to talk about some exciting things that's going on right now in America.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not kidding. We're going to talk about taxes. One of the benefits of the services that we offer, and of course Joe offers, is tax advantage retirement income planning. And part of that is Roth conversions, and part of that is also doing tax loss harvesting. We started using that software where we now do it on a regular basis, sometimes every 2 weeks. From what I understand from my son Parker, we're going to start implementing it on a weekly basis.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. But today we're going to talk about the one big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, we talk a lot about on this show legislative risk, right?
Yes.
And every 2 years we're voting people on the Hill. And the rules change. Well, we've recently had a change. And I think we're all trying to wrap our heads around it because it's about 1,000 pages. But I think it's important to get to you right now. What are some things that are affecting the modern retiree? When you're looking, there's some amazing benefits for those that are at 65 and over that we want to focus on today on that part, because some of this stuff will be here for a few years, but some of this stuff might not be here permanently. It changes, but you need to know about it, so we're going to cover it today.
Most definitely. It's so important because people have a lot of questions about it. They have opinions about it, but you may not understand exactly what it is. So let's talk a little bit about the major tax changes with this big, beautiful bill.
Go ahead, Pops. We'll let you start it off.
Number one, they made the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent.
Perfect.
So that 217 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, I listen to these politicians talk about it's just for millionaires and billionaires, and quite frankly, obviously they didn't read the bill.
Yeah, it affects a lot of folks.
It really does. So what it did is it prevented a 20% to 25% tax increases in every single tax bracket.
Every single one.
Every single one, okay? So without extending this and making it permanent, of course, permanent as long as it doesn't get legislated out, as Joe was talking about.
2 years.
We would have had one of the largest tax increases come January 1st, 2026. The surprising thing is, only one side of the aisle voted for it. I was kind of surprised about that, but that's another issue.
Here's what I think is interesting, and baseball, as we're looking here at the baseball playoff season coming up, this is like extra innings. We saw this current tax code that was set to expire. We see folks that you come in all the time saying, wow, we're going to talk about this Roth conversion and some ideas that we can do right now that might make sense for you. But wow, I only have so many more months because the tax bill is changing. Well, it's extra innings of baseball, folks. We've just gotten this extended. So there has never been a better time than right now because we are in one. I would even venture to say, Phil, Cynthia, that this is probably the most advantageous tax bracket that Americans will have probably ever going forward.
That's fantastic.
I think inadvertently they have allowed for Roth conversions now in a much lower tax bracket, and we can do a much larger value. Like one of the new changes is they increased the SALT deduction. And they swore almost on a stack of Bibles.
That wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Well, break that down. You say SALT deduction. Tell the folks kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so the SALT deduction is for state and local taxes. So for most of us, we were able to deduct, if you itemize your deductions, you could take up to $10,000 per year as an itemized deduction for, say, real estate taxes.
Okay.
Well, now, if you make under $500,000 a year, you can take up to $40,000. So if you have multiple properties, like many of us do, or you live in a property where your real estate taxes might be 12, 15, whatever, you now no longer are stuck to that $10,000 cap.
It's a huge window that allows you more capital to do what you want to do, because you can only spend after-tax dollars. But it also, with this bill, there's some other changes when it comes, and I know we're going to get to them, when it comes to those that are 65 and older. I want us to touch on that real quick, because it's so important how it's affecting folks and giving you options when it comes to these hard-earned dollars that you've saved 20, 30, 40 years, but you're worried, when I have to start taking these dollars out, I got to pay Uncle Sam on it. Well, this is going to allow us to have more planning opportunities for you, so it'll affect you going forward. It's
Most
huge.
Definitely.
So, you know, they wanted to do the no tax on tips, which they got through. We'll deal with that later if we have time. And the no tax on overtime, they got that through. But the no tax on Social Security, they were unable to lasso that beast down.
But what did they do?
However, again, they came through that creative thinking, creative planning. They came in the back door. They said, look, tell you what. If you have an income, a modified adjusted gross income, a MAGI, of under $150,000
for a married couple,
thank you very much, you'll get an extra $6,000 deduction per couple.
That's 12 grand.
Wow. Okay.
Whether you do the standard deduction or the itemized deduction, okay, it counts either way. So if you take the standard deduction, they indexed it up. It was $30,000 last year. Now they indexed it up for inflation, $31,500. You still get another $1,600 for each individual couple, each individual over 65. Yes. It's another $3,200. They're adding another $12,000 per couple if you're 65 and over.
Here's what that
as
means.
a standard deduction.
And here's what that means, folks. That means probably if you're getting ready to get Social Security, 90% of Americans are probably going to receive tax-free Social Security.
Okay.
It's affecting so many folks, and that's helping you. As we're going to come back from break, we're going to break down what you can do with that, because if you're falling into that gap, there's some more money that you have a choice to do some things with. There's money you could spend, but there's also some other things. If you have extra tax time bomb money, you can do some conversions on. It is an exciting time right now for the modern retiree, because the window has been extended and open to new possibilities when it comes to planning.
Yes.
I think before we go to break, I do want to touch on this. When you look at that gift, if you will, I'm going to call it that, because it's just so different. It also goes back to the beginning of this year. So maybe you did not talk to your tax advisor. Hopefully your planner's talking to you about this. But if you're taking money out, and maybe you've been withholding 20% federal taxes, you might now be able to reduce that for the rest of this year and not have to have so much money withheld. And you can take that money and use it for yourself, because your tax situation potentially could be lowered. That's more money in your pocket. It's why we're doing shows like this. I know we got to go to break.
Like this today, Joe. Thank you so much. Phil, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, there's a number for you to call on your screen. That number is 844-657-1072. We know that you have a lot of questions for Joe about the big, beautiful bill, and how does this go into your overall tax strategy? Well, don't miss the opportunity to call in today, and we've made it even simpler still. If you grab your smartphone, click on the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. That takes you right to the landing page of Omega Wealth Private Capital. You can schedule your time accordingly there. Most importantly, though, you don't want to miss getting a copy of Joe's book, The 5 Agreements. This has everything that you need to know about planning your perfect retirement stress-free. Because remember, folks, The income is the outcome, and we all want you to have a great outcome. We're going to take a very short commercial break here on Wise Money. Don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Joe and Phil and the big, beautiful bill when we return.
There's a place for all of your money. Some of it in the foundation, some in the walls, some in the roof. Let Omega Wealth help you build a solid fiscal house. We'll tell you how next. Hey everyone, Brad Johansson with Joe Wilson III, Omega Wealth Private Capital. I want to talk to you about retirement and minding your retirement, which takes us to what we harp on all the time.
Mind the gap.
Minding the gap. What is minding the gap?
I was over in London with our family a couple Christmases ago, and everywhere in their subway system is mind the gap, big yellow line. Think about this. You're walking down on this platform, hopping on a moving train. Back in the 60s, I believe it was, numerous people were falling into the gap. Think about the modern retiree. Think about your retirement. You've been working all these years from a firm foundation of a job, and you're stepping on this retirement destination. What you can't do is miss the gap. Take your Social Security, take your pension. Now subtract that from the necessities you need in life to stay retired and the lifestyle that you want. There's usually a gap there. If you don't know how to fill that gap with what we like to call an income engine and adjusting that for after-tax dollars and inflation, this is the number one area we're seeing so many modern retirees mess up right here, not minding the income gap.
So we can create an income engine to fill that gap so that you can be and stay retirement ready?
It's not about getting retired now. It's about staying retired. When you look at the 50-year inflation number, 3.8%, that adds some serious expense 10, 15 years down the road. And after tax dollars, taxes are expensive. You got to have a plan for it.
We want you to call or click the QR code on your screen right now. You need to be minding your gap and creating an income engine to be and stay retirement ready. Meet with a professional in our office at Omega Wealth Private Capital so you can mind the gap, create an income engine that makes you be and stay retirement ready.
Welcome back to Wise Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital, also joined by special guest Phil Capriati Sr., tax specialist extraordinaire. Well, you just are. I have to put it out there.
Well, thank you so very much, Cynthia. I
well,
appreciate
you are.
That.
You're so knowledgeable. But Joe, I want to actually talk to you a little bit too, as well. If we could talk a little bit about spending after tax money only. How does this tie into like Roth conversions per se?
Well, think about that. If you've been putting money away and you've been saving in a 401k, or IRA, maybe your 403b, 457, you got a tax break on that money, and it has grown over the last several years. The challenge that so many folks, and Phil, you preach on this all the time, don't realize is there's a debt owed on that. It is not all your money, and you can only spend after tax dollars. What does that mean? That means if you got $1 million in a 401k and IRA, well, what's your tax bracket? If you took all that out tomorrow, you got to pay Uncle Sam a pretty hefty fee on that. But it doesn't stop when you die. Your spouse, if you're married, is then all of a sudden it's going to become hers, but she's now going to be, I call it the widow tax. It's the worst tax that's out there.
Right.
Absolutely. If I ever ran for Congress, I would go run on that. People married 30, 40 years in a preferred tax bracket, married filing jointly.
Right.
And then that following year, they jumped into the single. It's a nightmare situation.
Yes.
But it doesn't stop there. We saw some rules changes with legislative risk back in 2019 that when you pass that money on to the next generation, usually your kids, they now only have 10 years to take those dollars out. And the tax nightmare that's having. So what are you to do about it? You need to understand that with the current big, beautiful bill, where brackets are right now, it is the third lowest in history. If you're not looking with some of maybe this extra income you're getting from the tax situation and looking at maximizing that and converting some of that money in this window that we have, you are choosing to adopt the government's plan. And I promise you that will be more expensive. You cannot have lazy tax brackets. If there's money there that you could stay in the same tax bracket and convert, my Lord, you should at least know. How do you know? We've got a cool little thing they're going to put up on the screen, OW OWRothquiz.com. OWRothquiz.com. This is a way for you to start to put in some information, understand, does a Roth conversion make sense? Now, you eat, drink, and sleep this. Go.
I'm gonna take it a step further. If you're still working and you have a 401k plan,
yes.
Why not switch your contributions from the traditional 401k to the Roth 401k?
And so many companies
Start
offer
the
that
Roth
now.
up.
They do.
Over 90% of them do.
Yeah.
But the problem is they don't educate the employees. The employees aren't properly advised, in my opinion. So I would say, call your administrator. Ask them, do you offer the Roth contribution? Okay, can I do that? Because here's the thing. One of the nice things about this 401k, it has no income limit. You could be making $250,000, $300,000,
Yes.
$400,000, irrelevant. You can still put up to $32,000 a year way. And if you're between the ages 60, 61, 62, 63, you have the super match.
Wow.
Okay, so you can increase that another $6,000, $7,000. It's called the Supermax. Very few people know about it. It's one of the benefits of being an Ed Slott Master Elite
it's
IRA advisor.
amazing when you do that.
Amazing.
Because here's the beautiful thing of that. Are we telling you maybe to pay a little bit extra in tax right now? Yes, we are, possibly.
But it
Why?
makes sense.
Because we're in the third lowest bracket.
Yes.
Because right now your plan is to kick that can down the road and deal with it then. Now I'm going to get preachy. Had somebody come in recently, had amassed quite a bit of wealth in their 401k. And they started to get worried about RMDs, required minimum distribution. They had watched the show, boy, I've got a lot of tax on this. So they went to their advisor, been a long-time advisor. They have done a good job accumulating. And I know you hear this story because we talked about it at dinner last night. That advisor looked at them and said, you're in your mid-60s. Don't even worry about it. Just deal with that when you are 75.
Wow.
Now, this person called me because they've watched the show and said, wait a second. If I let another handful of years go, that is growing that and kicking that can down the road. And this quiz is going to help you have an understanding of the tax debt. And it is a debt. Either you're paying it, your spouse is paying it. If you give it to your kids, they're going to pay it.
They'll
Maybe
pay
at
it.
their highest income earning years. And who knows
Yes.
what this bracket's going
How
to be.
about a little
Exactly.
quick math? And this is what I would tell this advisor. Let's assume this 401k is $1 million. And let's assume that the return on this is averaging 8%. We'll call it 8.5%.
Okay.
Okay. So in approximately 8 years, it's going to double. If no more further contributions are put into it, it's going to be $2 million. And then in another 8 years, right around that first RMD of 75, it's going to be $4 million. What's the RMD on $4 million?
It's not a little number.
It's $180,000 to $190,000, and then
A year.
And then each year that's going to increase by somewhere between $13,000 and $17,000. And then when you pass away and leave this tax monster, to your spouse, they are now, instead of married, filing joint, they're going to be filed as a single. Their tax bracket just doubled. So I would say that this advisor might be guilty of malfeasance.
Well, let's say it this way. There are accumulation advisors that their goal is to grow the money. And we need growth. We do that. I love market money. That's where I cut my teeth.
But don't you want to do it tax-free?
Yes, thank you. There's a place to take that money and where to take that growth, because if you're managing it all the same, we talk about it all the time, you are opening yourself up to major possibilities of some amazing challenges down the road. We cover that in this book. You can get a free copy. But if this is starting to hit home with you and you're like, well, I don't know, how much of this Roth should I convert? And it's a science. We're not telling you to go turn it all over today, although we've had people do that. There's opportunity, but how do you know? OWRothquiz.com. It's an opportunity for you to get advice, and we are an advice-driven firm. You need tax planning in your retirement assets, because if it's all sitting in qualified plans, it's not all your money.
No, it belongs
you got a partner,
to our
Uncle
favorite
Sam
uncle.
and Aunt Samantha. They're coming to get you.
We got to touch on that after we get back.
We most definitely do, gentlemen. Thank you so much to the viewers at home. Once again, OWRothquiz.com. That's OWRothquiz.com. If you have concerns about what future tax implications could be, find out where you currently sit today. Take the quiz, OWRothquiz.com. Also, to get a copy of Joe's book, please click the QR code at the bottom corner of your screen. You will get a copy of the 5 agreements. We promise you it's going to be an easy read, an enjoyable read, and you'll feel so much more empowered when you finish. We're going to take a very short commercial break. Don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Joe and with Phil when we return.
In retirement, it's not what you have, it's what you get to keep. Why creating a Roth IRA strategy now will help get the government out of your pocket. We'll explain next.
My grandfather was an old Texan cowboy oil man. I remember him telling me, you can only worry about the things you can control. Never worry about the things you can't control. The election's going to happen every 4 years. Every 2 years, we're going to vote different folks in on the Hill. We call it legislative risk. It's the beautiful structure of our government. We vote folks in and out, and every 2 years, the power on the Hill shifts. So change is constant. It's the certainty of uncertainty. You have to recognize that because we're planning it over 30 years. So how do we as advisors take that uncertainty and create a plan? And the fact is, we have to control what we can control. You can't control how much risk you're taking. Do you have hidden risk inside the portfolio? What about the tax debt? What kind of income plan do you have structured that's going to go along with Social Security, or what if Social Security isn't there in the form that it is currently? If we can control those measures, it doesn't really matter who's in the White House or who's on the Hill. Because now when it comes to the financial planning of your life, we've taken that variable out because we have something that is certain, because it is a very uncertain world. Control what you can control. What is the number one fear around those entering retirement and just having retired? What is it?
The number one fear is that you're going to run out of money before you die.
We have a window right now where there's some amazing tools where we can disinherit the IRS from that pot of money. So many times you've been saving and doing things, and that might be the right tool for that season. So when's the best time to prepare for rain? When it's sunny out.
When it's sunny.
You don't wait till it's storming. 2001, 2002, 2020. We go back through here the last couple of decades. There's going to be bad times in the market. Well, where do you go to get your income? Your retirement cannot sustain that. The only way those work out is if you retire and there are several good years right after you walk out of the office. You have to control what you can control, and you cannot control what happens in the markets. You get one shot at retirement, and if you're missing one of these agreements, that can crush you. You cannot go into distribution years with the same tools and hope. That's not a plan.
Welcome back to Wise Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, joined today by Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital, also joined by Phil Capriotti Sr. Today we're talking about things that are relating to your tax planning in the retirement years. Lots of great information, gentlemen. I know the viewers at home are thinking, this is amazing, this Roth conversion. I love that you have the owrothquiz.com.
Well, it makes it easy.
That's fantastic.
And it's one thing to talk about this in theory, but it's a challenge when you're sitting there going, well, okay, think about how much money you have in an IRA or a 401k.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, maybe your spouse has got a 401k or a 403b, and you start adding that up. And Phil, you did that in your head. I love how you started doing that math, but how does that affect you? How does it affect your family? And that's what's so important, that we're not just talking theory here. We say it. We are an advice-driven firm. You need a specific plan for you. Just because your neighbor converted all of it doesn't mean you should. Just because your neighbor said, I don't like that Roth conversion, I'm not going to do it, doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it. And this is a way for you to get an idea of where your situation might be. owrothquiz.com. It's a great, easy way to start getting some information.
It's fabulous.
I would say any individual, anyone, especially viewers watching us right now, that you do not do a mock tax return each year to determine how much you can move into that Roth, convert into that Roth at the lowest tax bracket, you wasted a year.
Yeah, maximize your brackets.
Maximize the bracket. And also, we want to keep in mind that we don't plow up or bump up our Part B IRMA if you're over 65 on Medicare.
Touch on that real quick.
But to not do that is insane. So what I see mostly with our clients is they may have 120,000, 130,000. Well, we have, and they're married, filing joint. Well, there was an opportunity to convert 60, 70,000, within that 12 to 22% tax bracket, without affecting the Part B IRMA or the Part D. So when I take a look at that a little bit at a time, if I switch my contributions to the 401k to the Roth, and then I slowly do Roth conversions a little at a time, it's amazing how much you can unwind over a 5-year period, 7-year, 10-year period.
That's what we're talking about. It is baby steps. And a lot of times in financial planning, it's not a hard right turn or a hard left turn.
Right.
It's like driving a boat. You tack a little right, you tack a little left. But Phil, you're so correct, because the worst thing you can do in many situations is do nothing.
Exactly.
I'm going to wait.
Exactly.
I had a friend that had some health issues and knew it, and then I'll just wait. I'll get to it later. I'll wait. Well, things did not end up very well for that person.
Yeah.
Waiting never is a good thing. When do you want to find out if you've got a tax bill that's ticking and you're saying, how do we start to unwind this? The best day to do that was yesterday. How do you start? You can dial that number, 844-657-1072. Set up a time with one of our fiduciary advisors to go over this with you. Or, my goodness, just pull out your laptop or your phone. Scan the QR code here with owrothquiz.com. Get an idea of where things are.
You most definitely need to, because, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, this is actually temporary. Won't these potentially expire after 2028?
Some of these, depending on where you're at, some of the situations with those that are 65 and older do have a 28 expiration date.
Okay.
Now, could that change? Absolutely. Could it go longer? Possibly. Could it go shorter? Probably not. I think that'll expire much like the Bush tax cuts did, and like this tax cut was set to do the end of this year.
Okay.
But it's legislative risk, and things change. And that's why, folks, you cannot just set it and forget it. You can't set it and forget it with your investments. You can't set it and forget it with your income plan, because taxes can eat up on that. Inflation is eroding every dollar we have.
No procrastination,
25% more expensive to live today than it was 5 years ago.
Yes.
You need a comprehensive retirement plan. How do you do it? 844-657-1072. And they pick up that phone and say, hey, I was watching Papa Cap and Mrs. America and Joe Wilson. I want my retirement readiness plan. Or you don't want to talk to somebody, you want a grumpy mood, I get it. Take out your phone, scan that QR code, and it'll give you an opportunity to set up a time. Maybe you can meet in the office, meet us over Zoom. We're here to help you be and stay retirement ready. Now listen to me. You get one shot at retirement. The window is open, and today is the day for you to take action. I want to thank my main man, Papa Cap. We got to get out of here. Thank you, Mrs. America. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching Wise Money.
From tax time bombs to Social Security insecurities, strategic investments that help clean up your junk drawer and keep your income engine running smoothly at Omega Wealth Private Capital. We're fiduciary, independent, holistic wealth advisors, and we're here to turn your have-tos into get-tos. So, would you like your retirement dreams to move from good to great? Give us a call. It's what we do, because we really want to. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope to see you in the office. Until then, I'm Brad Johansson. We'll see you next time on Wise Money.